Welcome back, everybody. In this lecture, I'd like to cover some of the common pitfalls and mistakes so that you can avoid them. Now, the first one is ignoring Amazon's rules. Sometimes this is intentional, sometimes it's not intentional. Now, with the information that you have had in this course, there's no reason that you would be breaking any of Amazon's rules unintentionally. But sometimes it can be tempting when we see other sellers doing it. It can be tempting to do it as well. But I advise you not to. I advise you to stay within the rules at all times because you want to make sure you have a long-term business with Amazon. Now, pitfall 2 is choosing a difficult product. What do I mean by difficult? I mean it's way too heavy or bulky to be shipped by air shipping from overseas, and in which case you need to use sea shipping, which is much more complex, and it definitely advise you not to do that when you're a new seller. Or choosing a product based on your own interests and preferences and being determined to sell that product even though it doesn't fit in with the criteria here in the course. There's no point bringing emotion into the process. It's all about profits and making money. Pitfall 3 is not dealing with suppliers in the correct way. Sometimes students ask me if it's okay to use a non-assessed supplier because they've chosen a product that for whatever reason doesn't have that much choice. They don't have that many options for assessed suppliers. The first thing to think about there, if there aren't many options for assessed suppliers, maybe there isn't enough demand for it. But more importantly, if you choose a non-assessed supplier, you have no idea what you're getting. You don't know anything about that supplier or if they even exist. If you think about it, why would a supplier on Alibaba not get assessed? There has to be a reason for that, and that reason can't be good, whatever it is. So stay safe, don't leave yourself open to getting scammed or ripped off, and only choose assessed suppliers. Now, pitfall 4 is about shipping. Remember that when your shipping costs are calculated, they're calculated usually on the DIM, which is a dimensional weight, and that means the size of your carton calculated on the size of your shipping carton as opposed to the kilogram weight of the actual carton. Actually, it's based on whichever is the greater, the DIM weight or the kilogram weight. The DIM weight is almost always the greater. So when you are getting a rough idea of what your shipping cost is going to be, don't forget about that point. Pitfall 5 is not keeping your account health in good standing. Now, when you are using FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, it's not that easy to let your account health fall out of good standing. But one possible way is ignoring customer messages. When you see a customer message on your dashboard, you should always try and reply to that message within 24 hours. Now, when we use FBA, we don't get lots of customer messages because they direct anything to do with an order, so anything to do with shipping, payment, delivery, they direct that at Amazon. Any customer messages we get will be product related. You still need to try and reply to those within 24 hours, and you certainly don't want to leave them to go longer than 48 hours. Now, if you do that occasionally, it's okay, but if you do it repeatedly, that's going to affect your account health. Pitfall 6 is running out of stock. But here's the thing, everybody runs out of stock sometimes, and the time that you're most likely to run out of stock is when you're a new seller, perhaps it's your first or second product, and it's been going pretty slowly, then all of a sudden you start to get a lot more sales because that's the way it happens on Amazon very often. It takes you by surprise, and then before you know it, you're out of stock. It's going to take you another 2 weeks or even 4 weeks, even longer maybe, to get more stock in. Now, when you run out of stock, it's not just a case of losing sales. Your listing starts to lose rankings. And the longer you're out of stock, the more rankings you will lose. Now, the good thing is, though, once you get stock back in, if you haven't been out of stock for too long, once you get it back in, it usually goes back up on its own. It can take a little while, though. But if you've been out of stock for a long time, maybe a month or 6 weeks, you may need to run a sale in order to get your rankings back up again. But it's not like starting from the beginning with a new listing. It's usually a lot quicker, but you still may need to do that. You still may need to run a sale and promote it to get your rankings back up again. So we try to avoid running out of stock as much as possible, but it happens to everybody from time to time. So basically, although this is a pitfall, we can't always avoid it, but we want to try and avoid it as much as possible. And pitfall 7 is quitting. You absolutely need to have some perseverance in this business, in any business at all. There will be challenges along the way, there will be obstacles. Nothing ever runs smoothly. Nothing ever goes exactly to plan. So to succeed, we need to foster a certain type of mindset, because success is not like a straight line, it's zigzags all over the place. And sometimes it seems like we're going backwards for a bit before we start moving forwards again. So that's the way that you need to think of it. And that's not just true with selling on Amazon. It's true with any type of business venture at all, even offline businesses. On or offline makes no difference. All right, so those are some of the common pitfalls. I'll see you in the next lecture.